We start with this Fox News alert. Hamas has confirmed their top political leader has been killed in a strike in Iran. It marks the most serious escalation in the Middle East since October 7th and increases the threat of a wider war breaking out across that region.
The strike in Tehran comes hours after Israel says they killed a senior Hezbollah commander in Beirut, Lebanon.
So within hours of each other, two titanic occurrences. Trey Yingst all over it, putting it in perspective from Tel Aviv. Trey?
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. Massive breaking news overnight. The political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, is dead following a missile strike overnight in the Iranian capital of Tehran. The Israelis have not yet taken credit for the strike, but are, of course, likely behind it. We're still gathering details, but we know that Haniyeh was staying in a guest house in the Iranian capital when it was hit by a missile. He was there for the inauguration of Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian. Now, Pezeshkian and the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khamenei, just hours before had met with Haniyeh in Tehran. And then hours later, this strike taking place, killing the political leader of the organization that Israel has been at war with for the past 300 days. We do know that the supreme leader of Iran has released a statement this morning vowing to take revenge. He says following this bitter, tragic event, which has taken place within the borders of the Islamic Republic, it is our duty to take revenge. This has major implications for the possibility of a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas as the war rages on inside Gaza. And we're hearing today from the Qataris, Qatari Prime Minister speaking out this morning, asking how can mediation succeed when one party assassinates the negotiator on the other side. All of this taking place just hours after the Israelis launched a rare strike in the Lebanese capital of Beirut, taking out a top Hezbollah commander following that rocket attack on Saturday that killed 12 people in the northern Druze village of Majd al-Shams. So major strikes taking place overnight, sending a message across the region that the Israelis are not afraid to strike well within the territory of other countries like Iran and Lebanon. But now the major question, how will Iran and its axis of evil across the region respond? We have to look at these two organizations. Overnight, Israel killed the leader of Iran's second largest proxy in the region, Hamas, and they took out a top commander of Hezbollah, Iran's largest proxy in the Middle East. There will certainly be a response. The question is what that response will look like. We do know Israeli forces are on high alert across the country. The Security Cabinet is set to meet today at 4 p.m. local time. And we also know that a notice to airmen has closed all of the airspace of northern Israel over concern about renewed rocket fire from the Iran-backed organization Hezbollah. Guys, back to you.
Trey, can we break down both military actions? First off, they say Israel made it clear they didn't want a major escalation and a flat-out war with Hezbollah, and they killed this commander who evidently had his hands in the Marine barracks bombing in the 1980s. But then, secondly, they take out the Hamas leader in Tehran at the inauguration of the new president yesterday. So do you feel as though with Hezbollah they don't want to expand, but with Hamas the gloves are off? Should we look at this separately?
At this point, we should look at these two targeted assassinations the same, because both of these organizations are major proxies of the Iranian regime in Tehran. But we need to talk about how all of this started and put this into context, because it really gives you an idea that the Israeli campaign against those responsible for the October 7th massacre, they will continue to be targeted. When we look at the organization Hamas, the two top political leaders are now dead. Ismail Haniyeh taken out overnight in Tehran. And earlier this year, on January 2nd, the Israelis launched their first strike against Beirut, taking out Salah al-Rukhri, the number 2 in Hamas. And I think back to the video on October 7th that was released by Hamas from Doha, Qatar. And you saw these two leaders among their supporters praying. And in the background, you could see the news on, and it was southern Israel on fire. The Israelis saw that image, and it was seared into their minds. They said they would hunt down these leaders of Hamas. But then one day after that attack, Hezbollah got involved in the fight, and since then has launched thousands of rockets and drones into northern Israel, killing 12 young people on Saturday and 1 Israeli civilian just yesterday.
Yeah, that was horrible. Trey, Hezbollah reportedly is vowing a certain response. They said, no doubt about it, they are vowing revenge. You mentioned that you mentioned this in your report, but how do you think they would respond?
So Hezbollah has a variety of Israeli targets in their sights.
Right.
It depends how much they want to escalate this conflict. We have been looking at a traditional escalation ladder, and it's part of the reason over the past nearly 300 days, you've not yet seen Hezbollah striking major Israeli population centers like Tel Aviv, with a population of around 300,000 people. Most of the rocket and missile strikes have taken place along the northern border between Israel and Lebanon. It's involved drone fire. It's involved anti-tank missiles along the border. But what we saw overnight was a shift in the equation. The Israelis taking out a top commander in the southern part of Beirut, a Hezbollah stronghold in the Dakhia neighborhood. So this means that Hezbollah could respond by striking strategic targets in places like Haifa, Israel's third largest city. Last month, we were in Haifa meeting with hospital officials there, how they're moving facilities underground in anticipation of a Hezbollah response. You have a variety of people ensuring that Israel will be able to intercept any sort of missile and rocket fire into the northern part of this country. But I can tell you that Israeli officials today that will be meeting at the Kiryat, just a few miles from where we're standing today, Israel's version of the Pentagon, are preparing for the possibility that Hezbollah strikes major population centers like Tel Aviv, and they will need to activate major missile defense systems, not just the Iron Dome, but also David's Sling and, of course, the Arrow missile defense system.
Okay,
Guys,
so Trey, that's the Hezbollah guy that they took out in Lebanon, and Israel and Lebanon have exchanged missiles for a long time, and rockets and whatnot. What's different about this, though, is, and they have not admitted that they were the ones behind the strike, they hit Tehran. They blew up a house in Iran, and you got to figure that that is a red line for the Iranians, where they're going to do something they haven't done before, and it scares the living daylights out of a lot of people, given the fact that they've got nuclear ambitions and a lot of pals with really big bombs.
Absolutely, and when we look back at the past 6 months, the equation for the Middle East has changed. When the Israelis took out top IRGC officials in Damascus, Syria, the Iranians responded by launching more than 100 ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones toward Israel. It was a massive attack that was only stopped because there was a coalition to intercept much of this fire outside Israeli borders. The Iranians feel they have to send a response of revenge to Israel for taking out the leader of their second largest proxy inside the Iranian capital. We can look back to when the Israelis have launched covert operations inside Iran in the past. They took out Mohammad Sakhadi, the top Iranian nuclear scientist, with this machine gun that was attached to the back of a truck as he was driving near the Iranian capital. The Israelis have operated inside Iran before. They struck some of the missile defense systems outside of a key nuclear facility in Iran following the ballistic missile attack. This back and forth exchange of fire has gone on in a way that could be compared to a large-scale war of attrition. But Iran will respond in some capacity. The question is how they will do it. Will they activate further Hezbollah, their largest proxy in the region? Or will they try to keep this from unraveling into a larger regional war, understanding that their second largest proxy, Hamas, and some of their larger proxies like Islamic Jihad inside Gaza have been totally decimated following the war that erupted on October 7th?
Next up, Sinwar. The other thing is, Hania, just to note, he lost his 3 sons and 4 grandchildren and was hailed. The video is surreal. Hailed as a hero. People were congratulating him because your kids are now martyrs. And now he faces that death.
Trey, thank you very much for the live report from
Go ahead.
Tel Aviv.
Do you want to say something, Trey?
Yeah, if I could just add this. Last night, there were many people online and in the media talking about how Ismail Haniyeh, the political leader of Hamas, who was taken out overnight, was considered a more moderate voice in the organization. That is ludicrous. I have met Ismail Haniyeh. I have talked with these senior officials, and they have it as part of their charter to destroy Israel. And so it makes sense that the Israelis went after this leadership overnight, but it does raise questions about what the response will be from the Iranian axis across the region.
Look what he did on October 7th.
Yeah.
You know the kind of guy he is.
Why? But he was in Qatar.
He was at the inauguration of the new Iranian president. He had to know that's a security risk, especially after October 7th.
Yeah, but it was Tehran. Nobody's ever hit Tehran.
Certainly, and look, the fact that he left Qatar was significant. This was the major mistake made by the political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh. He has safety in Qatar. He does not have safety outside the borders of that country. And by flying to this inauguration for the new Iranian president, he knew it was a risk, but probably didn't believe that the Israelis would kill him inside the Iranian capital.
They were wrong. He was wrong, obviously, Trey. Thanks so much. And the thing is, as you talk to some of the Trump officials at the RNC, they say, why is Qatar allowed to get away with this, housing Hamas? He goes, you go in there and say, if you want this special relationship to continue, you find a way, you expel all these guys right away. And you find a way to get those hostages out, or else you're going to lose that special relationship. So there's a totally different philosophy if this administration flips. And the scary thing is, Iran knows it. So if they're going to do some action, they got to do it within this window if they think that Donald Trump's going to get elected, because the game is over if he takes over.
Isn't it interesting they live in Qatar and not in Gaza,
right,
where all of this is happening?
Yeah, they're not eating sand. They're having a great time in the Four Seasons.
So let's see what happens, because it is a fluid situation. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.